Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a chatty get ready with me. I'm going to be trying out some of the new Moira cosmetics products that I showed in my haul a couple weeks ago. I got a lot of requests to test these out, and I also thought it'd just be fun to sit down and chat with you guys about some of my experiences working with brands that were a little bit more on the negative side. I know a lot of people, when they see YouTubers with all of these PR hauls and like it must be Christmas every day, we're always getting these packages in with all this free makeup, and I have to admit it is probably my favorite part of this job, or at least one of my favorite parts. It still excites me to this day when I get a PR package in the mail because it's so much fun. This is why I'm doing this, is just because I love makeup. So obviously getting makeup in the mail it's amazing. I can't complain about that one bit. And the other thing is just the brand recognition, just the fact that they know who I am, that they reach out and want me to test some of their products on my channel. It's really flattering. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm more successful with my channel, and it's just a good boost all the way around. So I think working with brands has been an overwhelmingly positive experience for the most part, but there have been a few negative experiences that I wanted to share because I feel like it's something that a lot of YouTubers don't really talk about, and you guys don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. So in some cases, these stories left me feeling embarrassed or questioning myself, and then some of the times I just got really, really annoyed. So we're gonna talk about all of that, and I'm not gonna say which brands they were just because there are so many other brands that I work with who are wonderful, and I don't ever want them to think that I'm gonna come on camera and spill everything about them, you know? So at the end of the day, I think it's just better to keep it anonymous. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in, and I'm gonna start with my eyeshadow because I am gonna be using tape today, and I don't wanna put foundation on first and have the tape ruin that. And I got new tape that I wanted to mention. A lot of you guys were asking what the pink tape was that I was using, and that was just tape that I randomly found like at the craft store. So this is actual eyeshadow tape. It's a little bit less sticky. It doesn't pull on your skin quite as much, and it's from Sephora. I think it was around $7 for the whole roll, and it's by their brand Sephora collection. So I'm just gonna put this tape on really quick. The one thing about tape is trying to get the angle right on both eyes. I think that's pretty good, but we will see. So the palette I'm going to be using is the Moira Glow and Gleam palette. This is the one that looks like a butterfly inside. I didn't show this one in my last haul, but it was from a couple months ago I had gotten this one. It's such a gorgeous palette, so I'm going to be dipping into some of the rosy tones since I'm wearing this color on top. So I'm going to be using this shade right here in my crease. I think I'm going to use this one in my outer corner, this deep kind of burgundy shade. And then for my lid, I'm probably going to use this one down here, like this rose gold. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So the experience with brand number one happened back in, I think it was late 2017. It was before I had my YouTube channel, and I just had my Instagram. I still had my blog, but I wasn't really posting on my blog very much. I was really focused on Instagram. And at that time, I had had my Instagram for just under 2 years, and it grew at like lightning speed. That was back when they used to post everything in chronological order, and you just really had so much more visibility then. And in that short period of time, I went from like 0 followers to over 100,000. So brands were starting to take notice of that, and I was starting to get more PR and things. And so this one brand ended up reaching out to me, and it was one of my favorite brands in the world at that time. I love them so much, and they said, we want to send you PR and we love your Instagram. And I just was like so happy the entire day. I couldn't believe it. And when the box arrived a few days later, when I tell you this was the biggest PR package I've ever gotten, it was like the box was probably like almost 3 feet long, like a foot deep. My husband actually got the door when the guy delivered it, and he was like, what is in this box? And I saw who it was from, and I was like, oh my God. And when I opened it, they basically sent me every product in their entire line. All the palettes that they had, all the face products, mascaras, every single lip product they had in every single color. It was amazing. It was probably thousands and thousands of dollars worth of products. So I was so excited. I immediately emailed them and I said, thank you so much. And they were like, oh, of course. And we love your page and we want you to do an Instagram takeover of our brand. And I was like blown away. Like, really? You want me to do that? And they were like, yeah, you could do a look with some of the products that we sent you and do some swatches, which, you know, that's what I was basically doing on Instagram at the time. So I said yes, but I was very reluctant because at the time I didn't have my YouTube channel. And so I was very uncomfortable getting on camera and actually doing my makeup. I had no experience with that. And I told them that. And I said, you know, I'm really nervous because, you know, I don't do my makeup on camera ever. I'm just more of like a swatcher for the most part. And they were like, no, like, don't worry about it. You're going to be great. They basically just talked me into it. And I said, okay, like, you know, but I was still very hesitant. And to kind of calm my nerves leading up to the day that I was supposed to do this takeover, I decided I was just going to film the look ahead of time. So I got my phone and I went into my bathroom to film it because I didn't have like the studio lights. I didn't have any good lighting at the time. So my bathroom was just where I thought was the best place to film. And I took my phone and I pre-filmed all of the stories. And I felt like that way, if I messed up something with the makeup, I could just go back, fix it, and then re-record the stories. And then on the actual day of the takeover, I could just upload the stories as if I were doing them live. And that was kind of my solution to calm my nerves. So I filmed all the stories. I felt like it looked okay. And then on the day of the takeover, you know, they gave me their login information. I logged into their brand account, which was very surreal to me. And then I started uploading my stories. Well, something happened with the connection in my house. Like right at that moment, my internet connection was very, very slow. And I think it was dropping a few times. So when I uploaded these stories, they didn't upload in the right order. Some of them that were supposed to be like further along uploaded first, and then the story kind of didn't make sense. It was all jumbled around and I didn't quite realize that at the time. I just thought they were uploading fine. So then I started seeing comments rolling in, and these were comments to the brand because, you know, I was on their account. People saying like, why do you have this girl on your channel? This is all mixed up. I can't understand what she's doing. I can't see because of the lighting. It's not clear. And you know how comments can be. And they started to get really mean. And I just started freaking out. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So because I was finished, I just logged out. And then I emailed my contact at the brand right away. And I was like, I am so sorry about this. Like, and I explained the situation and what happened. And she was like, no, you did fine. Don't worry about it. Like, it's totally cool. And I said, are you sure? And she's like, absolutely. We will be in touch for the next big launch that we have coming up. So anyway, fast forward like a week or two, and I hear about this new launch on Trend Mood, and they were launching actually a bunch of things. And I was so excited to get the PR package and talk about it. Right up until the day of the launch, I still didn't have anything. I thought, well, maybe the package is late. I don't know what's going on. Because they specifically said they were sending it to me, and they just never did. And they never sent me anything ever again. And I kind of, in a way, don't really blame the brand for that, because I really did mess up big time. And, you know, maybe they just kind of regretted reaching out to me, like that maybe I wasn't ready. You know, I think they saw like my growth that I was having, and maybe they just didn't understand my channel or like my Instagram, and that I really didn't do like live makeup application, or I don't know what it was, but I was just incredibly embarrassed. And I honestly, I didn't even want to talk about that brand for a while. anywhere just because I just felt so bad about myself, and I felt like, you know, no other brand's gonna want to work with me again. I felt so unprofessional and like I couldn't handle it. And so, you know, then especially when they decided they weren't gonna send me PR, I was like, well, you know, this pretty much seals the deal. They hated it, even though they told me that they liked it. So I really felt embarrassed. I felt like it was on me. But at the same time, looking back, I did tell them that it wasn't my forte. I did tell them that I wasn't comfortable, and they pushed me to do it anyway. So I kind of came to realize that I didn't need to put all the blame on myself. And, you know, obviously I did end up becoming more comfortable on camera. I started my YouTube channel, and I don't feel that way anymore. But at the time, that was definitely tough. For a while, I was like, that was such a bad experience, and I just couldn't even think about it without getting really embarrassed. So the story with the second brand happened right around the same time. I was on Instagram. I didn't have my YouTube yet. And while I was starting to get requests from brands, it was usually somebody from like their PR department reaching out. And in this case, an actual brand owner reached out to me, and I couldn't believe it. And now that, you know, I've been doing this a long time, I've talked to more brand owners, but back then this was the first one. This is the first time that had ever happened to me. So we chatted a bunch of times. The first contact was just this person telling me how much they loved my page. And then, you know, as we talked more, they were like, well, we definitely have to get you on the PR list, and we are thinking about like maybe as you're growing, like within the next year, doing a collab with you. Like, would you be interested in that? Like doing my own palette with them. And I was like, yes, 100%. I can't wait. So I was like already picking out like colors I wanted to do, shade names, like you name it, you know? And obviously it wasn't a guarantee of anything, but I just felt so good about it. And so of course I started talking about this brand even more. And this was a brand that I loved, that I talked about all the time. So anyway, I got one PR package from them, and then they just kind of ghosted me. By the way, this is the Juvia's Place eyeliner in black. So they just kind of ghosted me, and I never heard anything from them again, which was kind of odd considering that they were saying so many nice things and that they even wanted to collab with me, which was so strange. Like, I didn't get it. I was like, did I do something? Like, was it me? Did they change their mind about me? Like, I couldn't figure it out. It was the weirdest thing. But these are the kinds of things that happen when you're working with brands, you know? It's like they can be flaky sometimes. They can tell you, yeah, we're going to send you something, then it never shows up. And then, you know, you wait and you think, well, I'm not going to buy the product to review because they're sending it, but then they never send it. And then at that point, there's a certain window where you can review a product. And after that, once the hype has died down, there's almost like no point in talking about it on your channel because nobody cares anymore. So that experience kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I felt like it was me, you know, that's kind of how I am. I always, like, if somebody stops talking to me, like if I reach out and I don't hear back, I always think it's me. Like, I don't think about that they just maybe flaked out or, you know, it's on them, you know? So I don't know. Everybody always tells me that I'm too nice and that I just like always let things slide. I forgive people like super easily. So yeah, I didn't like stop talking about this brand. I feel like I did for a little while just because, again, I felt like a little annoyed, that they acted like I was part of the family, that they were going to collab with me, you're going to get PR, and then nothing. But at the end of the day, I still do like their products, so I do still talk about them on my channel, but I do still think about it sometimes and wonder if they will at some point reach out and try again, so who knows? Okay, so moving on to brand number 3. By the way, I'm using the Beauty Pie Flash False Lash Mascara. So brand number 3 contacted me also through Instagram, and they said they loved my swatches and they wanted me, or to hire me to do swatches for their website. So not even just on their Instagram page, but actual, like, to put on their website. They were gonna pay me. And I got so excited. They asked me what my rate was, and I had no clue at the time. I had never done anything like that before. I didn't know what kind of a price to give them. And when I asked my husband about it, he was like, well, just think about how long it takes you to do it from start to finish, because you have to swatch the palette out, then you have to take photos, and I take a million photos to make sure I get the right one. And then you have to edit the photos. So however long you think it takes you, just come up with an hourly rate of what you'd be willing to accept, like for your time. And so I came up with an hourly rate, but I am terrible at that. Like, I never want to give them a price that's too high and risk them not wanting to work with me. But at the same time, I don't want to undersell myself. And even like when I was working at regular jobs, I never like could ask for raises. I always just like shied away from that. So it was really, really hard for me to come up with a number, but I finally did. And they came back and they basically said, we can pay you like half of that, because this is the budget that I'm working with and this is like as much as I can spend. And I said, I thought about it, and it was just swatches for 3 palettes. And I thought, well, it's not going to take me super long to do that. And at the same time, it's good exposure, because if other brands see my swatches on their website, then maybe I'll get, you know, more offers in the future. And the more I have like built up in my portfolio, the more I can ask for, you know, I'll be more like in demand or whatever. So I said yes, I agreed to it, and I did the swatches. I not only did 1 set of swatches for each palette, I actually gave them 2, because they didn't really give me any direction. So I just was able to make up my own, and I was using stencils to do my swatches at the time. Like, this was back when those were really big a couple years ago. So I just came up with a couple different designs, like based on the palette's theme. And that was actually another part of the process, was actually sitting down at my computer, looking at my software, coming up with and actually creating the stencil, printing the stencil out. So there was like a lot more involved than just swatching something on my arm. So anyway, I sent them extra swatches. So instead of 3, I sent 6, and they absolutely loved them. They picked the ones they wanted. And she was like, I am so impressed. Can you do 3 additional palettes? And I was like, sure, of course. And this was where I think I went wrong, because I didn't clarify with her if that meant that they were going to pay me that same rate again for 3 palettes. So I was going to get double. I just assumed that, but it just seemed kind of like common sense to me. So when the palettes actually arrived in the mail, there weren't 3 more palettes, there were 6 more. And so I emailed her back and I said, you know, did you want me to do all of these palettes? I thought you only said 3 more. And she's like, oh yeah, if you have time, definitely do, you know, all 6 if you can. We just love your work. So I said, okay. So I ended up doing all 6 swatches. It took me so much time to get this done, especially because I was being really indecisive about the designs, and like I didn't know what to do, what they would like, what they wouldn't like. By the way, I'm going to be applying the Moira Complete Wear Foundation in the shade Barely Beige, and I'm going to apply it with the Huda Beauty double-ended face brush. So anyway, I sent the photos, they loved them, and when it came time to get paid, you probably know what I'm going to say. They paid me the initial amount that we had discussed for the 3. And so I came back and I said, like, oh, I thought that, you know, it was going to be like triple this basically, because I did the extra photos. And she was like, well, I told you this was our budget. This is all the money I had to work with. I assumed that you knew that. So I told her, like, no, this is not at all what I was thinking. And I think she ended up going back to her manager and getting more money, and they were able to pay me like a little bit more, but it was not close to what it should have been. It was just a little bit more than the original agreed upon amount. So that really soured me from the brand, and I decided I was never working with them again. And they did continue to send me PR packages, but I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to give them free advertising. I'm not going to talk about them on my channel. So I just didn't, and I haven't talked about them to this day, and they still continued to send me PR until pretty recently. And I think it finally stopped, but recently somebody from the brand reached out to me, and it was a totally different person than the one I worked with before. And they reached out and said, I understand that you've done swatches for our website in the past. Would you be interested in doing them again? And I just said, nope, sorry. Nope, not gonna happen. So yeah, it would be nice to have a little extra money. It would be nice to get that exposure again. But no, I'm not putting myself through that. It's not worth it. And I think that's also one reason why I don't always love working with brands, and it's a lot of the reason why I don't do a lot of sponsored content. There's certain things that they want from you, and you just feel a lot of pressure, and it makes me nervous because I'm afraid that the end result is going to be something that they don't like and I will have wasted my time. It's just too much pressure. I like to just sit down on camera and film what I want to film and not be under the gun or have deadlines or worry about it. It's supposed to be fun, you know, like that's the whole reason that I started this, was just to have fun and talk about makeup. And while it's nice to earn a little bit of extra money, most of the time it's not worth it. So if I take a sponsorship these days, it's only because the brand tells me, like, just talk about something. Just mention like 4 to 5 of our products. It doesn't matter what they are. The theme of the video is up to you. You know, like my recent one from Flower Beauty that I did, I actually had 2 from them. They basically just gave me creative control, do whatever you want. So in that case, really the only thing I have to worry about is the deadline, but I don't have them like telling me what to say, what to do. So yeah, I'm definitely a lot more selective when working with brands now, for sure. So anyway, just a quick note about the foundation. This has really nice coverage. It has a satin finish. It looks really, really nice up close. I am going to do a wear test and we'll see like how everything wears and holds up throughout the day. But so far, I think it looks really good. All right, so for my cheeks, I'm going to be using this blush palette. I did really want to use the single blushes that I got. I know a lot of you were so curious about these, but both of these are very peachy toned, and the lip product that I'm using from them is more cool toned. I'm actually wearing the lip gloss already. Actually, I want to mention that because my lips were feeling so dry. I didn't want to go on camera with like really dry lips. So I put my lip products on already, and I'm wearing the Beauty Pie lip liner in Knockout Punch, and then I put this on top. It's just a really, really pretty sheer, almost like light pinky lavender gloss. It's so beautiful, but it's really moisturizing, very silky, not even the slightest bit sticky, which is awesome. So I just wanted to mention that really quickly, but I am going to be using the blush palette because this one does have some cooler tone blushes in it. I think I'm going to go for this one right here. So anyway, let's see how this applies. I have to say the single blushes are extremely pigmented. I have worn them several times now. So you just have to be careful. Just kind of tap your brush in. Like I just go like this, like really lightly, and then kind of tap it off just so that I don't pick up too much. Anyway, moving on, I have one more brand story. This also has to do with swatches as well. And this one happened a little bit more recently. A brand contacted me again on Instagram asking if I could do swatches for their website. I was very excited, but this time I came prepared with a full rate card, everything in writing. This is how much I get per swatch. You know, and I sent that to them. They agreed to it in writing. We want you to do 2 swatches at this price each. And they told me exactly what they wanted. They didn't want the stencil swatches, so that definitely saved time. They also just wanted something very simple, very basic, white background. So I was like, okay, perfect. So I ended up doing one first, and I sent it to them just for their approval because I thought I'm not gonna waste time doing both of them if it's not what they really are looking for. So I did one, I sent it to them, and they responded back with like crying emojis, like, this is so beautiful, we love it so much. I mean, huge reaction from them. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the other one now. I'll send it over. So I spent time doing the other one, and all told, I mean, it definitely took more than an hour of my time to do both swatches, even though they were very simple without the stencils and all that. So I sent them the second one, and I didn't hear back right away, and I was like, okay, like maybe they're just busy, maybe they didn't see it. And then I did like a little follow-up, heard nothing back, nothing. This was like last year, and I still haven't heard anything. And it's like they just decided all of a sudden that they didn't want to do it, but they never told me. And I think what sucks about it is that I spent the time doing it. I wasted my time and I didn't get paid for my time. I could have filmed a YouTube video that would have made me money, or better yet, I could have just used that time and spent it with my family. I was doing the swatches late at night when, you know, I could have been downstairs playing with my son before he goes to bed, you know? So that's what bothered me the most, you know, because we had like an agreement. It wasn't like a actual contract. It was just more of like, you know, an agreement over email. But still, you know, I'm the type of person, again, where I'm not going to waste time like going after them for this or like, you know, trying to get my money, because it's not about the money at all. I don't care about that, but it bothers me when people have like a lack of respect for people's time, you know? So I have kind of monitored their website over the last several months, just checking to make sure that they are not using my photos, because who knows? Like, I noticed that PR people at these companies change very regularly, and my fear is that somebody new is going to come in and maybe see these swatches like on this person's computer and think like, oh, we could use these. Why are we not using these? And maybe they don't know the whole story, or they don't know that I didn't get paid for them. So I do still check their site every once in a while. And so far they haven't used them, so it's been fine. But yeah, I mean, those are just some of the stories that I have when it comes to working with brands. Like I said, my experiences have been mainly positive and very positive at that. So I think, you know, there's always going to be some bad mixed in with the good, but it's just the other side of working with brands that you guys just may not have known about. Anyway, here's the finished look, and I think everything came out really nice for the most part. I think the eyeshadows were easy to work with. I have used this palette quite a few times already, so I kind of knew that going in. The blush is beautiful. This lip gloss too, like I mentioned, it's really silky and smooth, and it's not sticky, which I love. It also doesn't have a scent to it. I forgot to mention that. And I think that this foundation looks really good on my dry skin. So I am gonna probably head outside today for a walk with my kid because it's super nice out. So when we go out, I'll be sure to take some footage of what my skin looks like with the foundation in outdoor lighting, since in here it can kind of be deceiving sometimes. And then I'll be back later on just for some final thoughts. We'll see how everything kind of held up throughout the day. So I'll see you guys back here in a little bit. All right, guys, so I'm back. It's been about 6.5 hours. I couldn't really do a super long wear test because I started putting my makeup on pretty late in the day today. We didn't have school. So my son and I went outside. We took a really nice walk and got some fresh air and some exercise and some sunshine. So as promised, I wanted to show you guys what the foundation looked like in natural light. And I have to say, definitely on my cheeks, I could see it starting to settle into my pores. And this was at approximately like the 3-hour mark. So I noticed also that it was rubbing off on my nose a little bit, and that pink was starting to show through just a little. So it definitely didn't look as good as it did when I first applied it. It kind of went downhill. And even now, I think it's settled into my pores even more at this point. Also, my nose, it's kind of starting to like flake off, not just rub off, but I actually see like these little tiny flakes. So that's kind of a bummer. So I don't think that the foundation is necessarily super long lasting. I also didn't wear it over primer though, so I'm definitely going to try it that way next and maybe put it over my L'Oreal Studio Secrets primer, because that one blurs all my pores and it might just have a better result over that. Maybe it'll help to grip to my skin a little bit better. As far as the blush though, the blush still looks perfect. It's really, really long lasting so far, so I love that. And I found the same thing to be true of their single blushes as well as the blush palette. So their blushes I think are definitely a hit. Also, I think the eyeshadow still looks pretty good. It faded slightly, and I did have a little bit of glitter fall out underneath my eyes from that shimmer shade that I put on top. But other than that, I mean, I think it looks pretty good. So anyway, I know this video has been super long. If you've hung in here with me this long, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would love to have you as part of the family. Just hit that subscribe button before you go. And also, if you enjoyed this story time style video, let me know that as well by giving this video a thumbs up. And I will see you all in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.